The United Nations and Egypt says they're confident they can negotiate a ceasefire between Israel and Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. That's despite the violence which is just ongoing, the rockets firing backward and forward across the border. More than 100 lives have been claimed now, the majority of those Palestinian, 3 Israelis dead as well. Joining us now is international relations expert Robert Patman. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning, Rachel.
If Israel launches this ground offensive and if we see tanks rolling in to Gaza, what does that mean in terms of, I guess, the diplomatic sense of the situation?
Well, I think Israel will think very carefully before it takes that step. Mr. Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, certainly has not ruled out the prospect of putting troops in. But that's full of dangers in itself. I mean, Israel would not want to get involved in a quagmire situation in the Gaza territory. And the other thing is, when the last incursion occurred by Israeli troops in 2008, it resulted in over 1,000 Palestinians being killed. More than 13 Israelis were killed in that operation. And there are diplomatic risks. If troops are sent in, it will almost certainly fracture what is already a tense relationship between Egypt and Israel. And Egypt at the moment is of course engaged in these intensive efforts with the UN to bring about a ceasefire. So I think there's military and diplomatic reasons why Israel would think very carefully before it sent troops in, and if it did, I think the consequences could be quite unpredictable.
We're seeing some dramatic footage that's come in from overnight about some of those rocket attacks, some of the rockets that have been striking the Gaza Strip. Who holds the key to a ceasefire? We know there are talks going on in Cairo at the moment.
I think clearly Egypt has an important role here. It was the only country to grant it was the first Arab country to grant diplomatic recognition to Israel. I don't think Israel, although the relationship has cooled with the Morsi Muslim Brotherhood government coming to power in Cairo, I think if possible Israel would like a working relationship with the Egyptian government. And I think the Obama administration has been quite careful in supporting Israel. Indeed, Mr. Obama's performance during this crisis has completely destroyed the argument that he was anti-Israeli or less supportive for Israel than some of his opponents, such as Mr. Romney, because it was the Iron Dome system, this anti-missile system, which America contributed about $270 million to making that possible, and that's intercepted about a third of the rockets hurled at Israel. Mr. Obama has said that he supports Israel's right to defend itself, but he would prefer that a ground offensive was not launched. So I think the Americans still want Israel to, once Israel has completed the job of decimating the rocket arsenal of Hamas, it wants Israel to get back to the political quest of finding a two-state solution between the Palestinians and the Israelis.
So, as you know, Obama has said that Israel has this right to defend itself. If that escalates, though, and goes potentially, some suggest it already has, beyond self-defence, is Obama at risk of perhaps getting offside with some of those Arab allies that he's sought to create in the wake of, George Bush and his administration?
I think he is running that risk. He's clearly walking a tightrope here. But I do think Mr. Netanyahu, for reasons I went through earlier, has very real reasons of his own, perhaps, to confine this operation to the use of air power. And he may have calculated they've hit the key arsenals and they've taken out the key Hamas militants through targeted assassinations that they wanted to, and that it makes no sense to run the risk of if you like, snatching defeat from the jaws of victory, as the Israelis might see it, by introducing a ground offensive. But clearly this is a judgment that's going to be made by the Israeli government in the near future.
All right, Professor Robert Patman, international relations expert, thank you.
Thank you.